so much for coming. I want to take a moment to thank you. It's such a pleasure to see all of our wonderful family together at such a happy occasion. And I know you come from near and far, and it means a great deal to us. Thank you again so much for coming. And we should be borrowing the simcha. We should have more and more simchas. We only have the sort of tovas to share. I would like to make a siyum. I just want to say a quick word about the siyum Daf Yomi. So I heard a nice mashal about it. I've never been zocheh to daven at the kosel during the Vasikin minyan, but my understanding is it's an amazing thing when you daven at the kosel of Vasikin, because you have all of these different minyanim happening concurrently, and you have all different. You have Teimani, you have Sephardi, you have Ashkenazi, you have Hasidish, and everybody's davening, and then at one exact moment, when everybody's somech gulut tefillah, there's complete silence. It's supposed to be an amazing thing to see. And I once heard someone describe that's sort of like what the Daf Yomi Siyum is like. You know, you have all these different Daf Yomi classes. Everyone goes at their own pace. Everyone has their own sort of time. But when it's time to make a siyum, everybody makes a siyum together. Mitzvah Hashem, next year there'll be a tremendous siyum of Shas. And it's a very special thing, and it was really very fortuitous that it worked out this way for Chana Leva's Bas Mitzvah. It worked out very, very nicely, and I just thought it was kind of funny because when I started learning Maseches Chulin, Agudas Yisrael had a very nice series of classes that were offered. A few Rabbanim from Eretz Yisrael came and did a shechita, and we went through the whole thing. And it occurred to me that for the first time since medical school, I was getting a phenomenal comparative anatomy class. And Chana Leva was born, of course, shortly after I took my first anatomy class. So we've come full circle. So Maseches Chulin deals with a lot of different things. The final chapter of Maseches Chulin actually deals with something a little different. Deals with the mitzvah of Shiluach HaKein, literally sending away the mother from the nest. And it's based on a pasuk in Devarim. Ki Yakare Kan Sipor Lefanecha Baderech B'chol Eitz O Al Haaretz Afrochim Obetzim V'Ha'em Moretzes Al Afrochim Al Abetzim Lo Sikacha Eim Al Avanim. Should a bird's nest chance to be before you on the path, in any tree or on the ground, chicks or eggs, and the mother bird is sitting on the chicks or on the eggs, you should not take the mother bird while she's on the young. Shaleach tishalech es ha'em es abanim tikachlach laman yitavlach ha'arachta yamim. You shall surely send away the mother bird, and the young take for yourself, so it will be good for you and you will prolong your days. And so it's interesting. It's a bipartite mitzvah. There are two elements to the mitzvah. There's not taking the mother bird while on the nest, and sending away the mother bird. And the final Mishnah actually deals with the first part. That one may not remove the mother bird from the nest. There's actually a machlokas rishonim about what exactly that means. Are you not allowed to take the mother bird alone, or are you not allowed to take the mother bird with the children, or with the young birds? And that sort of harkens back to an earlier sugya in the Masechta, namely Osov Esbeno, shechting a mother and its offspring on the same day. Be that as it may, the final Mishnah talks about the ramifications of this mitzvah and just how far it extends. So, Lo yitol adam aim al banim afilu tahir esem etzora. A person may not take a mother bird while on her young, even to purify metzora. If a person has saras and needs to be purified, even if you're planning on sending that bird away eventually after the purification process, you can't do that. You can't take it while it's in its nest. And then moves on to a very interesting observation about the reward for mitzvahs. Mitzvah kala isar. Now, if even in regard to an easy commandment like this that involves only the loss of about an isar, a small amount of money, the Torah says you should perform it so it will be good for you and you will live long. How much more so does this apply to the difficult commandments in the Torah? So it gives us a sense of scale, and the fact that, the funtzara agra, if you work harder at something, if you spend more money, if it's more difficult and more challenging, there's even greater reward. And the Gemara actually sort of investigates this concept of a good and long life. What is really meant by that? Is it in this world? Is it in the world to come? And they quote a brisa where Rav Yaakov actually talks about, makes a very strong case for this being the world to come. Tanya, Rav Yaakov Omer, Ein lecha kol mitzvah mitzvah sheb'Torah shamatim tzchara b'tzeira she'ein tchias hamesim tluya ba. So Rav Yaakov says, of all the mitzvahs in the Torah that are written together with their reward, you won't find one whose reward is not tied to the era of Tchias HaMesim, the resurrection of the dead, Yemos HaMashiach, that is. The Kibud Ava'im, Ksiv Laman Yarichum Yamecha, Laman Yitav Lach, Bishluas HaKain, Ksiv Laman Yitav Lach, Barachta Yamim. So in both Kibud Ava'im and in Sending Away the Mother Bird, there's this concept of a good and long life. So Rabbi Yaakov presents an interesting case, a tragic case. Harei Sha'amar Lo Aviv, Aleh Lebira, Va'aveli goes los Va'aleh V'shalech Ta'im, L'kachas Abanim. So a father asks his son, go up to the tower, send away the mother bird, take the young, and he does that. So he's done two things that have guaranteed him a good long life. V'chazaraso nafal v'meis. And on his way back, this son who's assured a long and good life falls and dies. Where's the goodness here? Where's the good long life? So what he's saying is that when we talk about a good long life, we're talking about a good life in a world that is all good, and a long life in a world that is eternal. Basically, olam haba. So now the Gemara answers. Gemara actually challenges this a little bit. Maybe this never happened. Maybe in other words, maybe a person does these things and that won't happen. Maybe this is just a theoretical case that couldn't come to be. Rav Yaakov Masachaza. They say Rav Yaakov actually saw this happen. So then they try to figure out why it may have happened. Maybe the person was thinking about sinning, had bad thoughts, sinful thoughts. That the Gemara answers that Hashem doesn't count that as a deed. Sinful thoughts do not count as sinful deeds. Maybe he was thinking about Avodah Zarah. So the Gemara says maybe he was actually thinking about doing Avodah Zarah, which, if you think about it, is actually all about thinking. If one believes in Avodah Zarah, and this person was coming back and had Hirhur of Avodah Zarah, then that could cut him short because he's had sinful thoughts. He's actually done a sinful deed by having those thoughts. Hachi Kamar, he's saying, this is exactly what I'm saying. Im Isa, this is what Yaakov's saying. Im Isa to Ika Schar Mitzvah b'Hai Alma, if the Schar Mitzvah is in this world, it should actually protect him from having such sinful thoughts. So that's the question that comes back. Rav Yaakov says, how could he die? He just did these two things that guarantee him a good and long life. How could he die? It should protect him from having thoughts that would make him worthy of death. Ella schar mitzvah v'hai alma leika v'amar. Sorry, schar mitzvah v'hai alma leika. He says it means that schar mitzvah is not in this world; it's in the world to come. The Ha'amar, and so they say that maybe this could never have happened also because the Ha'amar Rabbi Elazar shluchei mitzvah ein nezukin because ein nezukin. A person who's doing a mitzvah, a shluch mitzvah, doesn't fall. Harm doesn't befall him. But maybe when he was coming back, he wasn't a shluch mitzvah anymore. He was coming back already, so maybe that's why it happened to him. So he wasn't protected. The Ha'amar Rabbi Elazar shluchei mitzvah ein nezukin lo b'halvi chasan lo b'chazirasan. He shouldn't have any harm, even whether he's going or whether he's coming. So still, it's a hard situation to understand. He was a shluch mitzvah. So they say a sulam ra'ua hava. Maybe it was a faulty ladder. Umakam de kavua, he's kashani. And maybe where you're actually going into a harmful situation, it doesn't matter how many mitzvahs you've done, you're putting yourself in harm's way. Vayomer Shmuel ein ela elech shma Shaul the Hargeni. When Shmuel was sent by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to coronate King David, he said, Shaul will hear about that, and he'll kill me. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu heard that and recognized that was a risk. So again, he was a shluch mitzvah, but if he was going into a harmful situation, he could lose his life. Amar of Yosef. This is how the Gemara concludes. Rav Yosef makes a very interesting observation. Ilmale drashe acher. If the high Kra Yaakov Bar Brase, if only Elisha ben Abua had learned this pasuk about long and good life the way that his grandson Rav Yaakov learned it in this brisa, as referring to Olam Haba Lo Chata, he would not have come to sin. He wouldn't have turned his back on a Jewish way of life. My Chaza, what did he see? What did he see that challenged him? What did Acher see that gave him such a crisis of faith? Some say that he saw exactly this. He saw this child coming back and falling off the ladder. Ve'ika da'amri lishna deravi chuftzas hamaturgaman chaza. The havim metolos va'ashba amar pesha hitik margolios lachlach afar. And some say that what he saw was actually the tongue of Chuftzas, the Maturgaman, lying in a trash heap, saying a mouth that spoke such jewels of Torah should not lick dust. And in either case, what he saw was the age-old question of Tzaddik Varalo, and he couldn't put it together, and he couldn't conceive of the idea that maybe the reward was in Olam Haba. V'hu lo yada laman yitav lach ba'olam shekulo tov u'laman yarichin yamecha ba'olam shekulo aruch. He didn't learn this the way his grandson Rav Yaakov learned it, to say it's in a world that's all good, and it's in a world that is eternal. Hadran alach shiluch hakan shiluch hakein uslikala meseches chulin. Hadran alach meseches chulin v'hadran chalan datan alach meseches chulin v'datan chalan lasis neshem minach meseches chulin v'lasis neshem minan la va'alma hadein va'aba alma da'aseh. Hadran alach meseches chulin hadran chalan datan alach meseches chulin v'datan chalan lasis neshem minach meseches chulin v'lasis neshem minan la va'alma hadein va'aba alma da'aseh. Hadran alach meseches chulin v'hadran chalan datan alach Meseches Chulin v'datan chalan la nisnashem minach Meseches Chulin v'lasis neshem minan la ba'alma hadein va'al ba'alma da'aseh. Yirzon l'lefnecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avosenu Shetehei Saratzcha Umanu Seinu ba'olam hazeh v'sehi imanu ba'olam haba. Chanin bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achai bar Papa, Abba Mari bar Papa, Rafram bar Papa, Rachish bar Papa, Surchat bar Papa, Ada bar Papa, Daru bar Papa. Erebna Adonai Eloheinu T'beis Razach B'thinu v'thithi as Amcha Beis Yisrael v'niyah Kulanu Anachnu v'tzetzainu v'tzetzainu v'tzetzaik Amcha Beis Yisrael Kulanu Yodei Shmecha v'lom Beis Harazach Lishma Me'oivai T'chakmeni Mitzvosecha L'kilu Olam Yehi Libi T'hasamim V'chulkecha Laman Lo Evo Shlo Olam Lo Eshkach Pikudecha Kivam Chiyisani Baruch Ata Adonai Lamdei Chukecha Amen 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 Sela Va'ed Modim Anachnu L'v'necha Adonai Eloheinu V'le'avosenu Shesamtach L'kinu Yoshvei Beis HaMidrash Lo Samtach L'kinu V'yoshvei Kronos She'anu Mashkimim V'heim mashkimim. Anu mashkimim l'divrei Sora v'heim mashkimim l'divarim b'teilim. Anu ma'amelim v'heim amelim. Anu amelim m'kam l'sachar. V'heim amelim einam m'kam l'sachar. Anu ratzim v'heim ratzim. Anu ratzim l'chayi olam haba. V'heim ratzim l'be'er shachas. Shneimar v'ata Elohim torideim. L'be'er shachas anshei damim u'mirma. Lo yechatzu yemeyam v'ani eftach b'ach. Yerzan l'fanecha Adonai Elohai. Kishem shazartani l'sayim Meseches Chulin came to Azreini l'skil Mesektos l'sfarim acharim l'saymam l'mod l'amei l'shmor l'azot l'kayim l'kol d'gris hamut t'rodechem b'yahava l'zchus kol ha'tanaim ha'amoraim l'salmidei chachamim yamod li l'zarish lo samush ha'toro mipi zarim l'zerazari ad olam v'skayim bi v'hilasecha v'hisalech lecha tanche osach v'shachlecha tishmor lecha v'hakitzosach Sichecha ki vi yerbuam yemecha yosifu lecha shnos chayim orach yemim b'mina v'smola osher v'chavad Adonai oz la'mo yitein Adonai yivarech es amo v'shalom. Yiskadal shmei rava amad asid liyizchadeta l'chaya'a neisaya l'saka yashon l'chayei alma l'mivnei karta Yerushalayim l'shach lala hechlei b'gava l'me'akar halchana nuchra'a min ar'a l'asava halchana di shmaya l'asrei yamlich kucha brichu malchusei l'yikarei v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chay l'chol beis Yisrael ba'agala v'zman karib v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rav v'mehar v'mei al-maya Yisbarach v'yishtavach v'yispa'ar v'yisramam v'yisnaseh v'yisadar v'yisaleh v'yisalal shmeidu kucha brichu la'ela min kol v'chasav v'shirosah tush v'chasav v'nechanasah da'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Al Yisrael v'arabanan v'al chamideon v'al kol talmidei talmideon v'al kol man da'askim ha'reisa diba asra ha'dein v'diba chol asar v'asar Yehei l'hon shlama rabba china v'chis v'rachamim v'chayin arichin mezonei revdichei v'frokanan min kadam avuon d'bishmaya v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shamay v'chayim tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Yaseh shalom v'mamav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Mazda. We have a special guest with us today, and you can all be seated. I'm sorry, you can all sit down. Right, shut up. Finally, we have a special guest here today. Every family has its minhagim. You know, we have our dioraisa, we have our diorabanas, and then we have the things that we just sort of always do. So something that we've Baruch Hashem that we've been doing now for years has been relishing a certain column in a certain magazine every week. we always enjoy the humor column. And we know the author, Mordechai Schmutter. He's a household name in our household. And we were thinking, wouldn't it be like, nah, he wouldn't. But maybe he would. And so we asked the wonderful Mordechai Schmutter if he would be willing to come here tonight and chat with us a little bit. And he said he would, and he's here. So we would like very much to call upon the wonderful Mordechai Schmutter, who is going to grace us.
It's not a big deal. I put my pants on like everybody else. Backwards, 2 legs in one hole, and then I fall over. Is there going to be a mob hit later? We're good? I didn't really have time to prepare. Actually, I did. I even have something if nobody laughs. Hang on, where is it? I got this. We have that. All right. I want to start off by saying Mazel Tov, of course. Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov, of course, actually means good luck. Now, I'm sure most of you know this. I don't think I'm blowing anyone away with this information. But, of course, the reason we say Mazel Tov instead of good luck is that it's very hard to say good luck without coming off as sarcastic. Like, oh, you're in charge of your own mitzvah son of Eretz now? Good luck. Oh, you're marrying that guy? Good luck. Good. I mean, good luck with that. To the parents, of course, it means good luck paying for all that. I mean, you know, simchas are very expensive, but, you know, the plastic silverware that looks real. Sorry, that guy told me to say something. Anyway, but bar mitzvahs aren't that hard. Weddings are a little more difficult because you find out that the guy your daughter is marrying has 1.5 million relatives that you don't know, your daughter doesn't even know, and you have to feed all of them. And there's no way you want to say anything because you just spent the last several years telling your daughter that in no uncertain terms that you want her to get married. But I didn't think she'd marry such a big family. So maybe we should do weddings like bas mitzvahs, you know, just invite the family and I guess me for some reason. And where are we? Oh. Anyway, half the people at your wedding don't want to be there anyway. And I don't mean this against anyone, but like, for example, a good percentage of the people at a wedding are spouses of people you wanted to invite. Like, how many invitations do you get in the mail that are just the husband and wife, and the husband looks at it and goes, "Who are these people again?" And the wife goes, "Remember about 8 years ago I mentioned this girl I went to seminary with? No, she was at our wedding." Right, because I'm going to remember who was in the women's section at my wedding. I'm up on the chair looking over the mechitza. I wonder how many women are here that I don't know. But the husband comes along anyway, even though he has absolutely no interest in schlepping out, because he figures that if he goes to his wife's friends' weddings, maybe she'll come to his friends' weddings. And also that he can sit at the husbands of the college seminary friends' table and like peer into his chicken in awkward silence. What do you think is in there? A simple line on the invitation that says spouses don't have to come would cut the guest list in half. Let's put it this way. How many people do you invite to a wedding just so they wouldn't be invited, and they only come just so they wouldn't be offended that they weren't invited, and they come so that you wouldn't be offended that they didn't come? Even though like the two of you actually talking to each other would save you like $100. If you have such a close relationship with them that you're willing to pay $50 for their meal, and you don't even $50 a plate, and you don't even pay $50 for your own plates that you get to keep at home, then why aren't you close enough to talk to each other? But this isn't a wedding, this is a bas mitzvah. Everyone here, I'm assuming you know, and everyone's sticking around for dessert, except me, because I have to get to the Black Friday sales, but more on that later. But you're getting older, 12. I mean, 12 isn't that old. Like, a lot of people have turned 12, and they've gone on to accomplish things anyway. Like Benjamin Franklin, after he was 12, he got hit by lightning. So your future's wide open is what I'm saying. Like, for example, you can make challah. Okay, you're always able to make challah, but you can actually take challah. And there's never been a more exciting time to make challah. I was at Kosher Fest the other week. For those of you who don't know, Kosher Fest is like a trade show for people in the kosher food industry. Basically, the manufacturers put out all their new products, like as samples, and the people from the restaurant industry and the supermarket industry, and me apparently, walk by and say things like, "Ooh, pancake batter in a can. I can just spray it into my mouth. I don't have to leave the couch." It's basically like a big kiddush, except that everyone wears name tags, so you don't have that awkward thing where you're trying to pretend you know the guy's name and you're trying to make it through the conversation without him realizing you have no clue who he is. But I go every year basically because I love trying new foods. Every time I go shopping, I really do love trying new foods. Every time I go shopping, I come home with some kind of product that wasn't on the shopping list because we didn't know it existed. And my wife's like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "It's new," because that answers everything apparently. But more specifically, it's usually some kind of sauce to put on the chicken. And my wife goes, "We already have chicken sauce." And she opens the fridge and there's like 35 bottles of sauce. Each one has like 2 spoons left in it. I actually invent new sauces myself all the time. Like once in a while I mix all 35 bottles together and smear it on the chicken and it's delicious. The sad thing is I can't remember what I put into it. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to duplicate that recipe again. And even if I did, it'd be very expensive. I'd come home with bags of groceries. My wife would be like, "What's this?" 35 bottles of sauce. I'm like, "Oh, remember that chicken sauce that I made last week? Well, we're going to duplicate it now." It costs us $130. And we won't have room in the fridge for the chicken. So I'm beginning to think that's actually the story behind like all these new sauces that keep coming out. Someone's mixing all these other sauces together